Good afternoon. My name is Tim Campos, and I am the Director of Recruitment Programs here at ArtCenter College of Design. Thank you for being with us. We are streaming live from our graduation show for the graduating fall class of 2019. With us today is a couple of our graduates. We're going to have a Q&A conversation with them, talk a little bit about their journey to ArtCenter, things they'll miss most, and what they have looking forward to in the future. And to start things off, I'll hand it over to our first graduating student, David.
Hey, my name's David. I'm from Entertainment Design.
Alejandro Alvarez, Product Design, and from Miami, Florida.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm from Advertising Design.
Awesome. And so really to give you, those viewers tuning in, an idea in terms of what's going on here at Grad Show, this is an opportunity for all of our graduating students to highlight their work over the last 3 to 4 years, however many years they spent with us here at ArtCenter. So it's a really prominent highlight of all the hard work they put into it and putting the show together in just a few days. And so we'll have a chance to take a look at some of their work in just a bit. But first, I do want to ask them a couple questions to give you an idea in terms of what got them to ArtCenter, what their journey was like. And we can start with Julia. If you don't mind telling us a little bit about how you ended up coming to ArtCenter, what helped you decide on ArtCenter?
Yeah, I moved here 4 or 5 years ago from New Jersey, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in art. I kind of needed to get a feel for it. So while I was deciding, I went to Santa Monica Community College for about 1.5 years just to get my feet wet, see which road I wanted to go into, and there was where I was introduced into ArtCenter, where I applied. I got here because I got a great scholarship from the advertising department, and yeah, that's how I got here.
And big question, why advertising? How did you discover advertising?
So it's a little funny. I've always been interested in art as a young girl. I was always in art classes. And then in high school, I really developed like this love for psychology and being able to understand how people's brains work. And, you know, I didn't really want to do 12 years of being a doctor to go to school. So I found what intersected, and it was advertising.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. Alejandro, what was your journey to ArtCenter? What did that look like for you?
So I come from Miami, Florida, and we have a high school by the name of Design and Architecture, senior high. And that's where I was introduced to design overall, but specifically industrial design. And so since then, it was pretty much just like a straight journey from there, just figuring out my place in design. I wasn't always specifically interested in industrial design. I was more of a artistic and creative. We had a lot of fine art in our curriculum throughout high school, and so had a little bit of a journey into architecture after high school. I studied that for about 2 years, and then was finding that there was something not quite right with what I was doing, and I was just trying to figure out where my place was in design and what I really appreciated doing, and made a dip into illustration until eventually, by that point, I was at ArtCenter. A year later, after starting illustration, I made the jump back into product design. And so, yeah, it's a bit short, the short version of my story.
Awesome. And David, what was your journey like from ArtCenter? David and I go way back. We've known each other for a few years. He's one of our admissions ambassadors and tour guides for a few years, and so we're happy to have you here with us today.
Glad to be here. So my journey here, I always liked to draw, and I had pretty good programs in high school for art. So I dabbled a lot in like graphic design and illustration and some film. And then after graduating high school, I didn't really know what to do with myself. Like, I didn't really understand that you could have art as like a job, and my dad wanted me to be like engineer or something. So I kind of just like was a couple dead end jobs and stuff, and then I realized like, oh wow, I want to do ArtCenter. I had a friend that came here, looked around campus and stuff, and then I went and got a job somewhere, saved up some money, and then came back, took ArtCenter night classes, which helped me build my foundation skills, and then also I enrolled myself into community college at Riverside Community College, and just built my portfolio and applied and got here.
Now you're here.
Yeah.
What, 4 years later about? How many?
Yeah, about like 3 or 4, give or take.
4?
Yeah.
Awesome. David mentioned something I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of. Our ArtCenter at Night or ArtCenter Extension. It's part of our public programs. It's a great resource for those who are local and accessible to our public programs here through ArtCenter Extension. If you're looking to build portfolio, learn a new skill set, and you could utilize that portfolio to then apply to our degree programs. It's a really great opportunity, so I highly encourage the ArtCenter Extension, the public programs. We have them at various levels for youth, for teens, and for those outside of high school would be the ArtCenter Extension at night courses as well.
Yeah, it helped me out tremendously. Yeah.
Great. So thinking back to your ArtCenter experience, what would you say was a pivotal moment? You've been here maybe for a term, a couple terms, or maybe even now till today, a couple years later. What has been like a pivotal moment for you while at ArtCenter?
That's a good question. Probably sharing my work. I used to be very like hiding my stuff and not really just showing stuff. But after I started not being so shy and not fearing criticism so much, instead of embracing it and asking, hey, how does this look? What can I do to make it better? To classmates, to instructors, to just random students sitting in the cafeteria or something. But yeah, once I learned how to ask and receive and apply feedback, that's when I started noticing a lot of change in myself as an artist.
Awesome. Alejandro, how about for you? What was like a pivotal moment throughout your time here at ArtCenter that really highlighted maybe for you, this was the right decision for me?
Well, specifically within product, I would say there was a lot of learning from failure. I would say I actually failed 2 classes, and that was more about understanding the fact that this is a process, what we do in design, I think. And so kind of touching on David, where going out and seeking feedback is a big part of the process in terms of knowing that like whatever you do isn't really finished, and there's a lot of learning to be done by just like constantly making and iterating. And so failure doesn't really look like failure. It's just like one more step, one more milestone for you to just like overcome and keep going. And that for me was just a huge learning for product design, and I think just in design in general. So, yeah.
Awesome. No, thanks for sharing. I think that's a really valid point. One of the things I take away from me is to fail early and fail often. It makes us better creatives, better designers. So thank you for sharing. Julia, how about for you? What was a pivotal moment throughout your ArtCenter experience that really, for you, just said, yep, this was the reason why I'm here at ArtCenter. This is why I decided to come here?
It actually didn't happen until recently. So within the advertising department, you're kind of always assigned a client to work on, to make a campaign for. You don't really get to pick your own client until very late on. It was actually last term, which happens to be my grad wall. I got to work on a client, a PSA client that I was actually really passionate about, and I actually made great work. I got opinions from people in the ad world that are outside of ArtCenter and know nothing about it, and they were like, this is really great work. You can actually, build a campaign and have like a beautiful portfolio piece that can actually be like a real life piece. So, there were a couple little clicks along the way, but once I got to that and I made something that was really, truly meaningful to me and I had a personal stake in, is when it was just like, that's it.
So you're about to graduate. Mm-hmm. What would you tell yourself, rewind a couple years back, what would you tell yourself then before even stepping foot into ArtCenter, before beginning your program? Any life experience that since you've been at ArtCenter that you would tell your old self?
Just that you can make it through all the sleepless nights or the worrying or like, am I going to get an A on this project? Does it even matter? Struggles with classmates that just, you got to work in pairs in advertising. I would just say it's all worth it in the end. You're going to get through all of the life experience you gained working with people, working with other majors. It's all going to be worth it because you have to do it in the end in the real life. So, yeah.
Awesome. Alejandro, what would you tell yourself a couple years back before you even stepped foot on campus to begin?
I would say trying to figure out what matters most, and it's very, very broad on purpose, because grades don't matter if you don't really have passion for what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're early or late for a presentation if like the work isn't good. It doesn't matter if you get a little bit more sleep and do a little bit less for your project, if it means you're a lot more focused and a lot happier the next day when you're presenting it to potential clients, let's say, outside of school. And so I think when you figure out what matters most, it's a lot easier to make very good, clear decisions. So, yeah.
Thanks, Alejandro. And David, for you, what would you tell yourself a couple years back before you even started initially?
Yeah.
Any advice?
Self-care.
Self-care. Very important.
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off what you said. Just, get some sleep. Sometimes the all-nighters aren't worth it. If you're powering through the night, you're sometimes less productive than you would if you just got some sleep. And time management, just learning how to balance time and taking care of yourself. You'll see it in your work, and it'll pay off a lot more. So.
Right. A relaxed mind is a creative mind. Right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
making sure you get in your hours of sleep. Since we might have prospective students who are tuning in, thinking about discovering their own pathway to ArtCenter and what that might look like for them, what would you tell someone, to a curious, creative high school student, for example, who might be thinking about, is ArtCenter for me? What is that place? I know there might be many things that you could do to describe the special place that ArtCenter is, but if you had to maybe kind of narrow it down, how would you, in a brief version, describe ArtCenter to a curious, creative high school student? And any particular, doesn't matter who answers first.
Oh, man. Just describing ArtCenter?
Yeah. Like if you're thinking maybe back to yourself, and you're in high school, you didn't even know maybe about ArtCenter, you're still trying to figure it out, and someone told you, ArtCenter, like, what's ArtCenter? How would you describe it to a creative, artistically inclined arts high school student?
Professional. It's a very professional school, and a lot of collaboration goes on here. So just a professional, collaborative school.
I'll take it. Professional, collaborative.
Yep.
Perfect. Alejandro, how about for you?
I would describe it as the place that will make you better than you thought you could ever be. Just that.
Perfect. I'll take it. And Julia, how would you describe ArtCenter to maybe an interested, creatively inclined high school age student?
I mean, it's the combination of both of them. You're expected to be a professional here, and you will learn how to do just that, and you will also become like a wildly better artist when you make the full program through here.
Great. So I want to give you each an opportunity. We'll start with Julia to ask someone else on the panel a question. Just anything.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
We could start anything you want to know about their program, about life after ArtCenter.
I mean, I know nothing about entertainment design, so you can tell me what was your favorite thing.
There you go.
All right, let's see. So entertainment design, we have a couple of tracks within it. So we have the concept design track, the animation track, which is what I'm in, and the gaming track, which is fairly new. And my favorite part about it, the community. Yeah, every department kind of has their own community, and you really develop really great friendships. For me, in the animation department, for our thesis, we had to make a short film. So I was so fortunate enough to be working with really creative people and people who are also my friends. It's just probably my favorite part is just working with great people. So.
Anyone else? Do you want to ask Alejandro or Julia a question?
It's such a hard
It could be anything about ArtCenter.
Yeah. Let me see. What was one of your, probably both of you, what was one of your favorite classes that weren't related to your department at all?
That's a good one. Well, you spend most of your time in studio courses related to your program. You still have some flexibility to take electives and other studio courses as well. So yeah, that's a great question.
First one off the top of my head, recommended to everyone, Entrepreneurial Spirit with Errol Gerson. And if you don't even get the opportunity to take his class, he has an amazing presence online. And I would just say that whenever you hear him speak, your life, your whole point of view will change. And the teachings from his class are way beyond, I think, the title of any course or topic that he's talking about. So, yeah.
My favorite class outside of ad would probably be Motion Design 1, because we're always making a lot of videos, and sometimes it's not easy to hire someone that knows how to do motion design, so knowing how to do it yourself was really beneficial to my skills.
Great. And I lied. I do have one more question for them, and then I promise we'll get to seeing some of the student work, and we'll meet you back at your spaces. But before you go, we're live at Grad Show, so things like that are going to happen. So bear with the sound. So before we go, 10 years from now, where would you like to see yourself? Just big dream. 10 years from now.
I mean, if we're going big,
yeah.
I want to be like probably running an agency, maybe an ECD at a nice big one. Shout out Wyden and Kennedy, maybe
yeah,
Droga.
Go ahead and throw out the agency name. She's looking. Yeah, don't be shy. That's what this is for. 10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
10 years? Honestly, I've always loved the idea of giving back. So I would love to become a teacher at some point. But would also love to be some sort of creative director leading and managing a team. Just because I always feel like I love helping others more than I love helping myself. And so that's, if I can keep doing that for as long as I live, I'd be happy with just that.
Awesome. Thanks, Alejandro. And David, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Any particular position, studio, freelance? What do you want to do 10 years from now?
Hopefully, I would like to be directing my own feature film, animated or live action, so that'd probably be best.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll check back in with you in 10 years, and we'll have another Q&A panel and see what would you tell yourself 10 years from past. Okay. Awesome. So we're going to let the graduates get back to their grad show locations. We're about to start with the open recruitment house, but we'll check in with them in just a few minutes. I'm going to take you through a quick tour of Grad Show. We'll stop at each of their sections, and we'll talk a little bit more about their projects that they have on display and their process as well. So again, thank you, David, Alejandro, and Julia for being with us, but we'll check back in with them in just a few minutes. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So we'll go ahead and start Grad Show, a quick brief tour of Grad Show. To give you another outline, if you're just tuning in now, we just had a sit-down conversation with some of our graduating students from product design, animation, and advertising. So we're going to check back in with them at their respective locations in just a few minutes, but I thought it'd be a great time to do a brief walkthrough of the graduation show, just to give you a sense of what's going on here. If you yourself are local and you'd like to check out Grad Show, we are here at the Pasadena Convention Center, Exhibit Hall B. You can check it out tomorrow, Friday, December 20th, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's a public viewing. You're welcome to join the graduates and their families from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. tomorrow, December 20th, here at the Pasadena Convention Center in Exhibit Hall B. Just come into the convention center. You won't get lost. There's lots of signage. Look and follow the orange dot. You're bound to find someone from ArtCenter, and they'll show you the way in. But although you're going to be able to check out some of the work today, it doesn't do it justice unless you yourself are able to come here to Grad Show and check it out for yourself. So we're just going to start down and check out some of our undergraduate programs. The first one being film. Then we'll make our way to advertising and speak with Julia for a few minutes. But before we check out the film section, I do want to just give you a brief synopsis of our film here at ArtCenter. ArtCenter Film is really for those interested in being storytellers, utilizing film as their way of storytelling. And so it's a great program to focus on, yes, the technical and the production side, but also storytelling is heavily weaved throughout the program. And so we allow our students to focus in either directing, cinematography, or producing editing. So how about we check out the film section? So again, if you want to check it out yourself, you can check it out tomorrow, December 20th, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we'll make our way through this way. So it doesn't do it justice just to see the films. The student, you'll have to come here and check it out for yourself. Last night we actually had a film screening for our students at the ArcLight here in Pasadena. So we encourage you, if you're local, to come out to the convention center and check it out for yourself tomorrow.
Because it's not really depicted.
And now we're in our photography and imaging department. Photo and imaging at ArtCenter is really for those who are not just photographers, but also image makers. There's some intent behind the images that you're crafting. and our students are really highlighting the different types of work from fashion photography, portrait photography, architectural photography, product photography, across the spectrum. How about we take a look, meet back with Julia and check out advertising. So I promised we'd get back to talking with Julia. So if you're just tuning in, we were speaking with Julia earlier and some of our other graduates about their time at ArtCenter, and I promised that we would get to see some of their work. And so I'll hand it over to Julia so she can talk a little bit about what you have on display here and kind of what the route you're going in advertising.
Yeah, so in advertising, I'm going to be an art director, basically the visual of it instead of copywriting, which is the language and the writing. So for my grad wall, it's a piece that I did last term. It's for Planned Parenthood. It is using the old style Norman Rockwell drawings of like the 1950s and 1960s to highlight that we don't talk about women's health care from then. There were tons of women that went through serious issues trying to get effective and safe health care. So I wanted to bring light to that and make sure that we keep safe and effective health care for women today. So just using all of these different iconic Norman Rockwell drawings to emphasize the point. And with the line over there, that encompasses all of what the print would be if they were out in the real world. Just because it wasn't talked about doesn't mean it didn't happen. Help keep safe and effective healthcare for women. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Julia, and thanks again for being with us. Such a really relevant issue right now to highlight in a campaign, so we thank you for being with us, and best of luck to you.
Thank
you. We'll talk soon. Yeah. Alrighty, thanks again.
Thanks.
So we're now going to continue on our way. Let's head back through photo. We'll check out a little bit more of the photography work, and then on to interaction design briefly. So now we're in the interaction design section of Grad Show. This is our undergraduate interaction design. We have our students who are really pushing towards becoming user experience, user interaction designers, UI, UX. And we have a variety of projects on display. Another example of seeing it through the live stream doesn't do it justice. You have to physically be here to really truly appreciate all of the great work and processes going into the projects our students are crafting. This part of the graduation show is our undergraduate graphic design, so you'll see a lot of really visually compelling work. Really what's tying the work together is typography and the utilization of type. Our graphic design program is really meant for those who are passionate, curious about exploring the use of type in their work and how they visually communicate. That could be through print, that could be through motion graphics, that could be through transmedia, it could be through environmental graphics, or even graphics packaging. So we're just going to walk through briefly and make our way on over. Speak with David from our animation program. So right across the way here, we do have our illustration program, but just save us a little bit of time for you to see it. You're going to have to come here and check it out. There's some really great work. Illustration is one of our largest programs here at ArtCenter, and so there's a lot of different tracks that students could choose from. But right now, we're actually in entertainment design. We're going to speak with David. So if you were tuning in earlier, we were sitting down with David along with Julia to talk about their experience here at ArtCenter. So David is one of our entertainment design graduates, specifically in animation. So we're going to chat with him a little bit about his work that he has for us. Hey, David. It's nice to see you again. Let me get a mic for you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll grab the mic for David here. Great. So
Hello.
can you just tell us a little bit about what your project you have on display?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm a CG previs and layout artist. And kind of what that is in CG animated movies, what I do is I determine the blocking of cameras and characters for feature film or television. So I have about 4 sequences on here. And they're just a variety of different projects from, I have a horror sequence, car chase sequence, I have a musical on here, as well as I have a few zines, because I also draw. Just stuff from my sketchbook. But yeah, and then also right here is my student film that I've done with Zach, Sabrina, and Joya, and Melissa, who's not here. And we all collaborated on this short film. We worked on it for about 3 terms, each term dedicated to a different process of it. So 6th term was the pre-production, so storyboarding and writing. The term after that was the animation process. And our last term was post-production. And yeah, and also obviously could not have done it without a collaborative effort, and it was amazing. I was very fortunate enough to have just great people to work with. So,
great. Thanks again for being with us, David.
Thanks,
We're going to go check out the rest of Grad Show and circle back with Alejandro. So thank you, David.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Yeah. Best of luck.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. More of the animation and concept design work from our graduating students from entertainment design could be showcased down the way there. So briefly, before we head on over to product design, I do want you to get a brief look at our graduates and the work from environmental design. Environmental design at ArtCenter is a great program for students, I would say, who are interested in architecture, interior design, spatial design, furniture design. Really, it encompasses all of those pieces put together. How do we feel when we enter a space? So even this in itself is a spatial experience. And so if you're curious about how that connects to what your interest is as a creative, and you're interested in not just architecture, but you want to pursue something that's more than just that, our environmental design program will offer you that opportunity. So it's a really great program for those of you interested, again, in the whole either architecture, interior design, furniture design, all those aspects of design.
There's a couple of product students.
So environmental design, now we're going to head into product design and speak with Alejandro. So as promised, if you're tuning in now, we were speaking with a couple of our graduates earlier, and one of them was Alejandro. He was with us speaking about his experience, and now we're here to check out his grad show and have him talk a little bit about his work and his projects on display. There you go.
Okay. So what I wanted to talk about was actually this project that I call, it's the Still series. It's a concept proposal for the Scandinavian furniture brand Hey. And so even though this isn't a real product, we got the chance to actually have a designer that worked for them come and give us feedback 1 week in the middle of the term. And this project is a set of home accessories and furniture for the brand. And just the concept is just about living in today's day and age where we have a lot of technology and our lives revolve a lot around them. The idea is to sort of, in terms of the design, just demand the same attention, but bring more mindfulness into the daily lives. So having it be like a side table or stool where you can place your shoes or sit down and have a place to actually wear them, or have a book stand that perhaps you display some type of book or a card with a pen as sort of a reminder to have more careful thought and intention with the things that you do. But the greater emphasis of the class was to have a focus on real materials and industrial processes. So these are manufactured prototypes out of steel. And so it was a really good learning process in terms of not just coming up with concepts and renders and sketching, but to actually take it into production and take that next step of like learning what it is to make real products that can be used and can actually exist and be made. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Alejandro. And just so you know, the students have access to remarkable resources here at ArtCenter, model shops, wood shop, laser labs, 3D printing. We have all that good stuff. So you're able to utilize the shops here to do some of your own prototyping as well.
Yeah, that is correct. So a lot of learning in this project and some others. There's a lot of scrapping with like paper and cardboard, and then the school obviously gives us a lot of access to a lot of 3D programs, and so we're able to 3D model these things on a computer and then send them to a 3D printer, and that's where all these other models that I have on display here come from. So, yeah.
Well, thanks again for being with us, Alejandro, and for being on the Q&A earlier, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. There you go. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So we're going to continue checking out a couple more projects before we wrap things up. And I have with me here another student, Anna. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. Here's a mic for you.
Thank you.
So how about you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here, what work you have on display?
Sure. So my name's Anna Violette. I'm graduating from product design. I specialize mostly in soft goods, as you can see by my wall. One of my most important projects is this one right here. It was my capstone project. I focused on users that are about to undergo organ transplants. So there's a lot that's happening at that moment in their life. One of the biggest insights that I heard from a lot of my patients and nurses was that they like to feel normal, like they're still real functioning humans in this world. So I tried to make my clothes look as normal as possible. But there's a lot of different functionalities within them. So an opening on the side here, different ways to access the chest, the arms, for any important reason. The waistband undoes in a very different way. And there are hidden things like this access to a catheter bag for drainage, so that it is still discreet, but the user and nurses still have access to the patient wherever they might need it.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anna. And we've been talking to a couple graduates about their experience here at ArtCenter. What would you say has been a pivotal moment for you throughout your journey at ArtCenter?
Yeah, I had a lot of great experiences here at ArtCenter, but one of the most formative was a study away I did in Portland, Oregon. I got to work with a lot of different sportswear companies, and the professor that went with us was Kevin Beard, who has been such a great mentor to me and to a lot of students. So that was such a wonderful experience.
Great. Well, best of luck to you, Anna, at graduation.
Thank
you.
you.
See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Alrighty. Thank you. So we're just going to now wrap up and just make another round throughout product design. Product design is another one of our industrial design-based programs. It is a Bachelor of Science, as we heard from Anna and from Alejandro, two different types of product designers. If you want to choose to focus more in things like wearables or soft goods, as what Anna's doing, or more product-driven pieces in relation to what Alejandro's doing, there is a pathway that you can follow well here at ArtCenter. Last one, I promise. I want you to see the amazing work from our transportation design students. A good majority of the vehicles on the road today have been designed by our alumni. You're probably driving one today. And so I want us to check out the amazing work that our students are doing in transportation design. While the majority of our students are focusing in vehicular design, interior, exterior, they also have an opportunity to focus in other areas of transportation design. So for example, boats, yachts, aircrafts, for example. So you can see all of the beautifully crafted, handcrafted models here from our students, full-scale models. Some of these projects are from sponsored projects, an opportunity where we bring companies to campus to meet with our students, present them with a design brief, and have them engage in a design over a 14-week term. And so some of these projects on display throughout, not just transportation design, but some of the other departments have been through a sponsored project as well.
like 8 years ago or so, maybe. That's yeah. He said, then he wound up, going.
So that just about does it. We've gone through graduation show here in a brief, condensed version of it. It doesn't do it justice tuning into the live stream. You have to physically be here to appreciate it. And so if you have an opportunity to join us at Grad Show, you can tomorrow, Friday, December 20th, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the live viewing. Excuse me, for the the public viewing. We're doing a live viewing right now. And I also want to thank again our graduating students who were with us earlier for the Q&A and the conversation about their work. So again, thank you to David Sanchez, to Alejandro Alvarez, to Julia from advertising, David from entertainment design, and Alejandro from product design, and also most recently Anna from product design, talking about her soft goods and wearables as well. And so thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you at the next one. And if you have any questions, if you're a curious, interested student and you want to envision yourself here, we'd love to connect with you. So again, my name is Tim Campos, Director of Recruitment Programs and Outreach in the Admissions Office here at ArtCenter. I'd love to have a conversation with you and talk to you about what your journey is like coming to ArtCenter, helping you build a portfolio, myself or any of my colleagues. So feel free to email us admissions@artcenter.edu. Again, admissions@artcenter.edu, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.